everyone. Welcome to another episode of Moorish Sense Media. This is episode 5. What is a community?
That's right.
And we're pretty much going to talk about what is a community, and the reason being is because a lot of people have a misunderstanding of what our founder, Prophet Noble Ali, actually established the Moorish Sense Temple of America for.
Right.
We're not just a religious organization.
That's right.
Even though we are a religious organization,
Right.
we're not a social order.
That's right.
Such as you know, like the Masons or the Shriners,
Correct.
which are social organizations.
That's right.
But they come from a purely Christian background.
Exactly.
So you know, the Prophet Noble Ali never wanted us to be associated with those particular things.
Right.
But there is some background history which one day in another show we'll actually go into.
That's right.
Of what was happening during the time of Prophet Noble Ali.
Absolutely.
Secondly, his whole goal was to establish a community.
That's right.
Because let the truth be told, 10,000 years before Columbus got to the Americas, we couldn't even use the term America at that particular sense because the term didn't exist in a paper sense.
That's right.
Right. It existed like certain cities were named America, and you know, I mean, that's a whole nother episode as well.
Exactly.
But anyhow, he established us as a religious organization. We have, you know, proof that he did so.
That's right.
Where a lot of people misunderstand what the documents that we have, and they try to perpetuate myths and half truths about it. So what he wanted us to ultimately do is to become a community.
That's right.
Now, how do we know this? When we look into our Holy Quran of the Moorish Sense Temple of America, which is our religious record, which was established by Prophet Noble Ali himself.
That's right.
Right. No, he didn't get it from the Aquarian Gospel.
Nah.
No, he didn't get it from Unto Thee I Grant.
Right.
And I mean, I pretty much challenge anybody to go to those particular books and see if the chapters that you are saying that he got from there, let's see if they're the same. And, you know, I would almost be willing, well, I'm not almost, but I would be willing to bet some money on it.
That's right.
You know, I mean, we could use a couple dollars right now, you know. But if you look at those chapters, we'll find that, no, he did not get it from those particular records that everybody's alluding to.
Right.
Those who have never been to the Moorish Sense Temple, or those who have been to the Moorish Sense Temple and never gained admission into the halls of learning that they needed to gain admission to understand what is being said in this particular record. So we go back to, and if you look at previous shows, when you first open up the record, it says, know thyself and Allah.
That's right.
So what we're going to do is we're going to just stop at know thyself before we get to Allah. So what is to know thyself?
That's a good question.
So the word know means to be well acquainted and familiar with.
Okay.
Now when you're talking about the self, you know, we're talking about man and woman and child.
Right.
We are, if you will, a triunity.
That's right.
And when you talk about a triunity, we are a spirit, a soul, and a body.
That's right.
So in order to know yourself, you have to become in contact with these particular things, especially the spirit, right? Because what that does is it connects you back to Allah.
That's right.
And when you harmonize the spirit, the soul, and the body, then what happens is we now become a manifestation of Allah here on earth.
Correct.
Right?
Exactly.
And that can happen for each and every individual. And in another show, we can go into that. So this is what happened with Muhammad.
That's right.
This is what happened with Jesus.
That's right.
This is what happened with Moses. Many of the pharaohs, who they called God kings.
Right. Yeah.
You know, this is what happened with those particular individuals, because let the truth be told, as we talked about in previous shows, how that terminology was across all the ancient temples all over the world, whether it be in Europe, right, in Greece, and everybody wants to go to Egypt,
Right.
but we have some history about Egypt that people have never heard before.
Right.
And not only that, the Toltec tradition in Central, South, and North America, it had those particular or know thyself over top of the temple walls, because that's here as human beings here on earth.
Mm-hmm.
That is our ultimate goal, is to know ourselves.
That's right.
And to become you be able to utilize by the God, whatever name you choose to call your creator, that created everything that we can see, that we can't see, and let the truth be told, this is where a lot of things come from.
Mm-hmm.
But people, they boast of superior understanding and say, "Oh, I did this." No, you didn't do it.
Yeah, you didn't do it.
The God of your understanding, or if you don't believe in it, the energy of the universe gave you the thought to manifest what it is, whether we had cars, chairs, and so on and so forth. But anyway, this is what the Prophet Noble Drew Ali was introducing us to, because we talked about the ancient mystical tradition that we as Moorish Americans have. So, we look at Jews, we look at other people who come here to America, and despite what their religion is, they establish a community.
First and foremost.
Okay, first and foremost.
That's right.
So, in order to do that, man is a tri-unity, man and woman, child, or human beings in general. So we need to get to know ourselves first, right? Then, how do we get to know ourselves? Well, we need to know ourselves in three basic ways. We need to know ourselves as a human being.
Correct.
We need to know ourselves as a tribe, and we need to know ourselves as a spiritual being.
That's right.
Now, this is where Prophet Noble Drew Ali issued to us a nationality, right? And in this particular sense, we are kind of knowing ourselves as a tribe, but it's broken down even further than that, right? Because now we are issued the name. You have the free national name of what? Jordan Hill. Right. And I have the free national name of Valance Bay.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So you don't have Il Bay, right? You just have Il.
Right.
And I just have Bay. And to prove that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali wanted us to just carry Il or Bay, right? We can make reference to his document, right, which is called the Our Authority, which is the Quran questions for Moorish Americans, right? Developed by Prophet Noble Drew Ali himself, which is 101 questions that we have, and it's developed by him, which tells us all about the purpose, what the Moorish Science Temple of America is about, who Prophet Noble Drew Ali was, etc. And then when you turn around on the back of Our Authority, right, which gives us the authority to do what it is that we do.
Exactly.
He does not have on this particular document anybody that carries both attributes.
Correct.
Either they have a Il or a Bay.
Right.
The only person that has Ali is Prophet Noble Drew Ali.
Right. That's right.
He didn't use Day.
Nope.
He didn't use all these other names that people are alluding to and trying to bring into the Moorish Science Temple.
Correct.
So, you can confirm the teachers, or the teacher must confirm themselves to the record.
That's right.
So, anybody that's out there in the land, please provide us a document that came before this particular document or thereafter with Prophet Noble Drew Ali's signature on it, and we'll honor you.
That's right.
However, we know that in this era time that paperwork can be tampered with. So we, stick to what the Prophet Noble Drew Ali brought.
Authenticity.
Right. Authenticity.
Praise God.
Which takes us back to primary sources and secondary sources. So we don't want any secondary sources.
That's right.
And we won't name any names, but people try to bring and what I would call Johnny come latelys after Prophet Noble Drew Ali and those who he had appointed. Whoever you say he appointed, these particular people are like what we call Johnny come latelys. So, I mean, not the persons that he appointed, but the people who they're saying that they honor, because we don't want anybody to think that we're trying to throw you under the bus, or we're leveling off with the truth.
That's right.
And either you're gonna stand for something or you're gonna fall for anything.
That's right.
Right. So and in later shows, once we establish a rapport with you, maybe we might, name some names.
Right.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So moving forward, so as a tribe, Moorish Americans,
correct,
which is our nationality, but also the tribe of Il,
that's right,
and the tribe of Bet.
That's right. Exactly.
Okay, and that's how we get to know ourselves, because let the truth be told, Il means something.
That's right.
And so does Bet.
You don't take it lightly.
And we are not supposed to take those lightly, because once you take on those names, you are supposed to practice some principles.
That's right.
And the principles are what? Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
That's correct.
Okay? And once you practice those particular principles, then what that does, it changes your character.
That's right.
Right? And also when you study the works of Prophet Noble Ali, right? Which his works, not the works of somebody else, right? His works in conjunction, right, with the works of whoever brought whatever they brought.
That's right.
You see, but his works.
That's right.
And once you study those, then your character becomes different. You're not trying to fleece people.
Right.
You're not asking them for money.
Right.
You are operating with morality.
Right. You live in a clean life.
Character.
Right.
And integrity.
And conduct.
Right.
That's right. So when we're talking about a community, right? The Prophet Noble Ali, he, as the Sheikh said earlier, he gave us or appointed us specific titles. But the Prophet Noble Ali also gave us, in the Moorish Guide, the Prophet Noble Ali outlines exactly what our issues and our plights are here in America.
That's
and the Prophet Noble Ali's Moorish Guide was actually written during the time of the Prophet, and the Prophet is the one who authorized these particular lessons to go out to the masses, those Asiatics who may or may not know their nationality, and also those who did or became aware of their nationality. And the Prophet Noble Ali says in the Moorish Guide, he says, we of the Moorish Science Temple of America, like countless other American citizens, know that we must live together here in America in harmony, friendship, and goodwill, whatever our race or creed may be. It is only from a purely religious standpoint, it seems at this time that we differ from a large number of our fellow Americans. We believe in and foster the Muslim religion. We believe in the principles, its teachings insofar as they can be adopted to American life. We feel that the Christian religion is alright for those who prefer it. In America, religious freedom is guaranteed all under the Constitution. We are interested in freeing ourselves and our children from the greatest plight, economic slavery. We believe this can be best done by encouraging, patronizing, and establishing our own business enterprises, and cultivating our own acres of land. We welcome into the folds men and women of our group of all sections, all trades, occupations, professions of sound of mind and good character. We are friends and servants of humanity. We are dedicated to the purpose of uplifting moral, social, and economic status of our people. We have set about to do this through a wide, comprehensive program embodying the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice as well. So when we look at this, right, Sheikh Valans Bey just said something very important. And what he said was, we get in tune with knowing ourselves. And when you're talking about knowing yourself, you're talking about knowing the individual.
That's right.
Because the first or the key staple of actually building a community is the individual, the unit.
That's right.
We can't have unity without a unit. And when you look at community, you have two words that simultaneously are working together in community.
Come on now.
And the first word is to commune. So to commune, right, it means to converse intimately, exchange thoughts and feelings.
Okay.
And this is what a lot of us don't do even within our communities. Even in, to some degree to the Moorish community. We have small pockets, but ultimately we've got to have a dialogue and an exchange which is productive and conducive to that which is going to elevate our people out of the greatest plight that we face. And you also see the word unity. And the word unity means the state of being joined as a whole. So a whole means a unit, and unit means one. Now, ultimately, when we're talking about a community, to our listening, viewing audience, we're talking about a group of people living in the same locality under the same government. Also, a group of people is fundamental or essential characteristic or element of a community, because you got to have the people with the community, but you also have to have people with principles, as the Prophet Noble Ali demonstrated the Moorish God then and now.
Correct.
That's right.
And you know what you're reading from the Moorish God, I also, which I didn't bring tonight, and we'll continue to. We're gonna do a couple of shows
Correct.
on this because people really need to understand, and you know maybe this show and previous shows will help to change the culture
Correct.
of what's going on in the Moorish Science Temple of America.
Absolutely.
You know all that.
Backbiting.
You know all the riffraff.
Correct.
What I call it.
That's what
you
it
understand
is.
what I'm
That's
saying?
right.
Because it's only one prophet.
That's right.
It's only one
temple.
Moorish Science Temple of America,
That's right.
and it's one God, which is Allah. And anybody that supports separation at this point in time, we already know that they are of the adversary force.
Correct.
You know, because our principles are love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
That's right.
And you know, like I said, may Allah bless you, but we are going to continue to foster the principles of our founder and Allah, right? So he talks about cultivating acres of land, right?
That's right.
He also talks about a few other things in that, and the wide comprehensive program, right? And in this article, he outlines our organizational goals.
Correct.
And not only that, also in the Moorish literature, he also outlines some things that we need to do.
Absolutely.
So, you know, in looking at that, right, you know, because you did an excellent job with defining the words that's in the word community, which means that we have also a common unity, but also, you know, as a practitioner scholar.
That's right.
Because that's ultimately what we are. I mean, in the Moorish world and out in society. Because if you go back to our other shows or the first introductory show, we introduced ourselves and our qualifications.
That's right.
So as a community developer, you know, I went and pulled an article.
That's right.
And basically, this article is understanding and describing the community.
Okay.
Right. So, what is a community? While we traditionally think of a community as the people in a given geographical location, the word can really refer to any group sharing something in common. This may refer to smaller geographic areas, a neighborhood, right? Like you had neighborhood associations, you know, housing project or development, or a rural area, or to a number of other possible communities within a larger geographical defined community. Now, these are often defined by, some people say race, which we define that's a pseudo,
it's
Eurocentric race, or we say ethnicity, right? Professional or economic ties, religion, culture, or shared background or interests.
That's right.
Right? And then they have a whole list of these particular things. Now, very important. It says these various communities often overlap. So, you know, this is what we find in the Moorish Science Temple of America.
Right, we find overlapping community.
We are overlapping community.
That's right.
You know, and what people need to understand that we have to be good custodians of what it is that Prophet Noble Drew Ali has brought to us, and we have to be of good moral character to be able to. Because somewhere I read, he talks about the divine plan of the ages, right? And that's an aspect of our comprehensive program, which, you know, in later times we'll most likely expound and get into it, because we found a sister organization to the Moorish Science Temple of America. It's not to overshadow the Moorish Science Temple of America, but it's called the Moorish American Society of Maryland, which we are very much so know what we're doing when it comes to building a community, right? And also we're working hand in hand with helping the Moorish Science Temple of America in our particular locality build a community. And all those who would like to participate with us and would like for us to consult with them to do that, we're willing to do so under love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
That's right.
So very important points, because you have a lot of people who are talking about, oh, we need to do this, we need to, and they don't even understand what it is that the basic concepts
right.
that we have.
Right.
And basically it's because, you know, people are not reading or studying, you know, and most of all cleaning themselves up, because you could read all day long, but if you're not making any attempts to clean yourself up and live morally and ethically with integrity and dignity and respect, then you're not going to understand what's being presented to you anyway.
Right, it's going to be like foreign language.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when you look at a community, ultimately, you know, when we talk about communities, right, just running the concept of communities must deepen their understanding. And this is what the Sheikh is demonstrating on the subject of productivity, interacting on an ongoing basis, asking and answering questions, sharing information, reusing proven ideas, solving problems for one another, and developing ideas, but also realizing and recognizing what didn't work before. Because, you know, often we say we don't have to reinvent the wheel,
right,
but sometimes the wheel needs a little fine tuning.
Oh yeah,
you know, it's a little fine tuning on it, you know. And when we also look at this, when you're talking about a real community is actually guided by a set of principles.
That's right.
So we watch, and you know, and I've been just looking at, you know, the recent things that have been happening in the city.
Okay.
And I noticed that the city was on national news not too long ago.
Oh yeah.
And we look at the news, right, and then we say, you know, people, they talk a lot of stuff. Some people are upset with what was said. Some people agree with what was said.
Okay.
Whatever your point and your view is, that's your view and point.
Yeah.
Well duly noted and respected. But ultimately, you know, when we see and we look at and we say Asiatic, you know, and our counterparts say the so-called black community, right?
Right.
You can see that there are very little principles being demonstrated there. And this explains or expounds to you why we need to have more of a footing and, you know, implementation of sets of principles. Because communities, again, like we said before, you got to have independent organizations. You got to have structures. You got to be able to know what your targets are.
Correct.
And when we're talking about targets, right? Targets, ultimately, here in the Moorish Sense of America, targets are, and it's an acronym, and I wrote it down. Targets are types, activities, requirements, goals, expectations, and tools. That's what target stands for. Because you got to know what types. You got to know what types of people you're dealing with.
Come on, man.
Because we all don't think on the same level or the same capacity. We got to find out what each individual is good at.
Right.
And you got to utilize those individuals, as the prophet said in the Moorish Guide. You also got to know what activities are taking place.
That's right.
You can't exist and dwell within a community and not know what's going on around you. And then you also got to know the requirements to make yourself qualified to actually do something within that community.
Like we have done,
And
right?
that's what we're doing, and we continue to do.
Right.
You also got to have goals, target goals. You should have goals as an individual, and that goes back to knowing thyself. Expectations. Your expectations should reach a certain standard or benchmark or criteria, and you got to know what tools to work with. And here in the Moorish Sense of America, we use what the Prophet has given us, which is the Divine Constitution and bylaws. We also use the Quran questions from Moorish America to guide ourselves, and we also use the Holy Quran, the Moorish Science Temple of America, as well as the Moorish literature as well.
Correct.
But we use these as the guidelines to guide our character and our conduct, you know, and by doing that, it allows us, you know, to be able to interact with one another in a way that's conducive and positive to actually creating a homogenous community.
And perfect point, because doesn't the city of Baltimore have, outside of the city council, don't they have a planning department?
They do. They have a planning department.
Okay,
Yep.
so you know, it's not just coming to your Friday holy day meetings.
Not at all.
And
that's great. That's
good. We have to do those things.
That's required.
But my point is not. It takes more than just coming to those particular meetings.
Right.
You know, we have to in real time. You know, we have to figure out and have people who are actually scholar practitioners.
That's right.
Of going to find out, you know, our needs, our concerns.
Absolutely.
And also you talked about human behavior.
That's
right. Which, you know, people are coming to the Moorish Sense Temple of America with some real serious issues.
That's right.
And that comes in. We need, you know, people who are familiar with social work and clinicians.
And this is what the Prophet demonstrates.
You understand what I'm saying?
Literature, right?
So, you know, these are some real things that we need, and we have taken the time to examine it from a myopic point of view. You understand what I'm saying? Or excuse me, not from a myopic point of view. we have taken an objective look.
Right.
And other people need to start doing, they should start doing the same thing.
Right.
And you made another important point. You said people or communities become productive.
That's right.
Now check this one out. It says when you know yourself in all three of the dimensions that we described a little earlier, then you are able to live and become a more productive and aware human being.
Wow. Okay.
You understand?
Yeah.
So now I know that I'm a Bay.
That's right.
I know that I'm a Moorish American.
Absolutely.
I know that the shade of my skin is olive, right? And I know that I have a religion, and I know that I have a God.
Correct.
Then what that does for me is it helps me view and change my paradigm.
That's right.
You understand? Because thinking from a scanty way,
right,
of that my descendants came from slaves,
that's right.
And thinking that, all the derogatory terms that people call themselves and make reference to,
correct,
these things is what we see playing out in our communities today. And don't get me wrong, we're not getting down on people.
Nah.
We're just showing you the psychology and the thought process or the paradigm that people that refer to themselves as being black, African Americans, and not all, but the majority,
right?
And what trickles over into our community.
Absolutely. And on that particular topic, we're not getting down on anyone for saying the word black. But however, when you really think of it psychologically. Take like the Sheikh said, an objective view of it. The word black should be removed and discarded from the minds of our people, because ultimately, when you retain or you cling to any signs of the slave mentality, it's equal to holding on all the wrongs that your ancestors or your foreparents, that they experienced during that period of time. So you should really think about it and examine it. If you don't, believe us or take our word for it, but a check don't lie. Check it for yourself.
Oh yeah.
Check it for yourself and see what terms were being used to label and degrade and put in inferior status of our foreparents. And this is why the Prophet Noble Ali came in the due appointed time to take those labels off of us.
Yeah, so, and also, in a later show, I keep saying it, right? I need to bring those court cases out, so people can see that these laws are still on the books.
Correct.
And we not just drawing from the air.
Right.
We are drawing from a very tangible place. And the only reason that we are able to know those particular things or able to draw from those particular places is because what Allah has revealed to Prophet Noble Ali, right? And in turn, what Prophet Noble Ali has revealed to us.
That's right.
And in the Arabic language, the word for community is ummah. You see, so for those who say that the Prophet didn't bring Islam and things of this nature, actually he did.
Right.
And he brought it in if you go to China, they're Chinese Muslims.
That's right.
And I do declare that Chinese Muslims don't stop eating rice.
Nah.
Because they are Muslims. That's right. Or if you will, Muslims. They still keep an aspect of their culture.
Right.
And this is what Prophet Noble Ali brought to us, because he knew that what our culture was, and that it was taken from us, stripped from us, and we had to we starting from scratch.
That's right.
And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right, has given to us in a language that we can understand. And later on in scriptures we'll go into all that as well.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's right. And when we're talking about communities, we still focusing on communities here in Baltimore, because this is where we are. When we look at a community, right, we have the Moorish community here in Baltimore, and we need to do a little bit more, to kind of bring it into unison or unit, so to speak. But when you look at a community, right, ultimately a community, in order for a community to be a suitable place to live, a community must provide for all its members spiritual and physical needs.
That's right.
This is important. Right, and when you look at some of the conditions that we find ourselves, even Moorish Americans find themselves, and not only in Baltimore, but cities throughout this country, you'll find that some of those needs aren't necessarily suitable. Now, I just want to give you a piece of information for those of you who are listening and viewing in relation to Baltimore. So, according to the 2017 American Community Survey conducted by the United States Census, the median household income, right, and we're talking about Baltimore, we're talking about everything that went on previously, about a week ago, the U.S. Census, the median household income for individuals living in the 7th District was $60,903, right? However, the national average income, right, was $57,652. But when you look at it, ultimately, the poverty rate, and this is what I want you to pay attention to, the poverty rate in the 7th District was higher. It was higher than the national average. So when you really look at it, and I grew up in West Baltimore.
I did too.
And yeah, she grew up in West Baltimore too. We're both from West Baltimore. You know, I lived in the 7th District, you know, the majority of my life. And when you look at it, this is an issue. This is not only a moral issue, but this is a social issue. This is a spiritual issue. These issues that we find that many of our people are dealing with, you know, because 16.6% of the people living in the 7th District, they don't earn a standard amount of income. They don't earn it. They don't get it, and they don't earn it. And yet we see people saying that it's fine, it's okay, the standard of living is cool, it's collective, but quite frankly, it's unacceptable. Yeah. Because when you're talking about poverty, poverty isn't only a social condition, it's a mental defect. It's a mental defect because it takes its toll on the lives of those who succumb to it. You know, and this is what we are demonstrating, or this is what the prophet was demonstrating when he demonstrated in the Moorish Guide that the biggest plight that our people are facing right now is economic slavery.
And that's a part of poverty comes from a way of thinking.
Correct.
And the way of thinking that our people have is a direct result in the introduction or how we were introduced to slavery.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
And these things have never, been. We've never been given the information,
correct,
besides Prophet Noble Ali, to, get out of the situations that, we find ourselves in.
Right.
And interesting statistics, because I was listening to, I happened to listen to Morgan, Almarado's WEAA, and I was listening to the brother Faraji Muhammad,
right,
for the culture,
okay,
right, and the brother who called in or he did the show on was Doc Cheatham,
okay,
and I think he was head of the NAACP, right, at one time, but now he's the head of the Community Association, which is in Easterwood.
Correct.
And basically he stated that for 60 years, the city government or whatever aspect or whatever has not given anything to that particular community,
right,
and the community surrounding those communities, even though they're still impoverished, houses that are abandoned or whatever, they still are not getting the things that they need.
Right. Exactly.
Now, and if you look at that, right, so we in Baltimore's in Maryland.
Correct.
So if you go to Howard County, which is like maybe 20 minutes.
And it's in the 7th District.
Oh, it's in the 7th District?
It's in the 7th District.
It's the richest county.
Wow.
And in Maryland. And the second richest county is Montgomery County.
That's right.
Right? And I might be off ahead, but I remember that, those two counties were actually beating each other by maybe $100 per capita.
Wow.
And when we talking about per capita, you can, it's like every 10,000 people or something like that, So when we look at Howard County, the household median income in Howard County, if I'm not mistaken, is about 90,000. I could be off ahead, but compared to 60,000.
Correct.
And wow. You look at the rents that's going up in Baltimore City. We have to ask: is this by design or what's happening? What's going on here? So, right. It's just a lot. It's a whole lot. And when you're talking about community, right, and understanding community, like you said, the physical aspects, right? You have to understand the infrastructure. That's right. Meaning roads, bridges, patterns of settlement, commerce and industry, demographics, history. That's right. Community leaders, formal and informal which are some of the other community leaders, community culture,
Okay.
Formal and informal, existing groups.
That's right.
Existing institutions, economics, the government politics, the social structure, attitudes, and values.
That's right.
You know, and all of these things, the Prophet Noble Ali, he was doing community development.
Exactly.
You know, he wanted us to develop as a community.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so basically, we don't have time to be operating in a vacuum.
Exactly.
Or being separate from one another.
Exactly.
That time should really be declared out.
Right.
You know, unless we fall into one of those categories that we are not really studying,
Right.
Understanding and making these lessons apply to us
With a clear view.
with a clear
concept.
right. So, praise Allah. You know.
Right.
Oh, human being. What is a human being?
Okay.
It is the ability to develop your inner life,
Mm-hmm.
right? And this is your relationship. This is why we need to know ourselves and our Father God Allah,
Correct.
right? Because we are, it is the ability to develop our inner life,
That's right.
right? And when you talking about know thyself, you talking about knowledge of self.
Mm-hmm.
And brother Jesus or Isa,
That's right.
he said that the kingdom of Allah, or some people use God,
It's
right,
a man.
is within.
That's right.
Now, for those who want to challenge me, all you gotta do is go to our Holy Bible or your Holy Bible
He says it.
and look at Luke chapter 17 and find it and see what Jesus says that the kingdom of heaven,
Is with them.
right, or the kingdom of Allah or God is within you.
That's right.
And as we said, it was written over the doors of the temples of learning. It was studied in ancient Egypt. It goes back over 10,000 years ago, and this is actually the key to wisdom.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
And this is what Prophet Noble Ali
Was
brought to
demonstrated.
us.
That's
It
right.
was demonstrated.
Demonstrated.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Praise Allah. And, you know, as human beings, we are uniquely equipped with rational power
Mm-hmm.
on the one hand and moral power on the other. You see? And what is moral strength or power, right?
Okay.
Moral strength is a force that operates within us that is capable of reassuring or restructuring the destructive influences that come into our lives, man.
Yeah.
So that means we can adjust,
We have the ability to.
right?
Yeah.
We can adapt,
Right.
and we can overcome.
Correct.
So what is adjust? To alter or move slightly in order to achieve the desired fit or appearance or result.
Mm-hmm.
And to adapt is to make fit, often by modification.
Right. Changes.
And to overcome is to succeed in dealing with a problem or difficulty, a default or an opponent to prevail.
Okay.
You know, so
Yeah.
all this, man, come from, you know, asking myself
Correct.
and doing this inner work after reading the lessons of Prophet Noble Ali is like, all right, what am I supposed to be doing? What do I need to change about myself? Right.
Correct.
Observing myself,
That's
because basically that's the ultimate goal, is to study yourself.
That's right.
And to make, you know, adjustments. But so many times people coming into the Moorish Sense Temple and they trying to bring their old self with them.
Yeah, he can bring it for a second.
Yeah, you can come as you are, but you can't stay as you are.
Stay as you are. That's right.
And why is that? Because we this is the Moorish movement.
That's
We
right.
trying to move somewhere.
Perpetual.
And it's supposed to be it is perpetual.
That's right.
You know, and we have to know that we not just living for ourselves, we
Correct.
living for the generations to come.
Exactly.
And you know, it's so important that people need to really understand and get into, you know, what it is that our Prophet Noble Ali brought to us. Because if we've been in the Moorish Sense Temple of America 20 years, 30 years, 5 years, 1 year, and we don't see a change in ourselves, it's not that the teachings are not working.
Right.
Maybe it's something that you're not doing for yourself.
And modification.
And adjustments. Maybe you're not praying enough.
Right.
Maybe, you know, you're not stop smoking whatever it is that you smoking or whatever it is that you drinking or spending quiet time, breathing.
That's right.
All these things are encompassed with knowing yourself,
Absolutely.
and community, so to speak.
That's right.
And that's how we gonna get to the next level. It's gonna take moral, ethical, and people with character.
Correct.
Integrity.
That's right.
Absolutely, most of all.
That's right.
So praise Allah. So, man, I mean, we gonna move on to other shows.
Correct.
Talking about community.
That's right.
Because it's an extensive subject. And for anyone who would like to reach us, right now we're restructuring our website, but you can reach us at Moorish American Society MD at gmail.com.
That's right.
Right? You can always send us an email. Look for what it is that we doing, or you can go to www.nobledrewali.org.
That's right.
And the webmaster will, you can send us a message, and the webmaster will get back to us, and we'll contact you. But
Absolutely.
Just in the near future, look out for things that's coming. Because I know there are Moorish Americans all around the country that we can't even begin to think about that are doing positive things and doing great work.
That's right.
Now, Sister Janelle ill.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
She lived in California and she started the Unity Summit.
Yeah.
And that was a beautiful thing.
It was.
When we were coming together and things of this nature, and people bringing different ideas
and concepts.
May Allah be pleased with her.
Right.
We need to continue to keep the work that she established, and Sheikah Jones Bay was instrumental in that, and also I think it was Sister Chapman Bay and a few other sisters, if I forgot your name, and brothers that was instrumental in that. We need to really look at what she was doing, and we need to pick up that work.
Absolutely.
And do what she left us to do.
That's right.
And all the negative naysayers, hey, fine. If you want to be negative,
stay over there.
Stay what you doing.
That's right.
And if you need our assistance, we'll assist you.
Yes.
But we are trying to, or not trying, but in our lifetime and generation, we are going to help establish and manifest what Prophet Noble Drew Ali wanted us to establish, through operational unity.
That's right.
Because that's the only way that it can happen. Because I don't have all the ideas.
And I definitely
and together we're just two people.
That's right.
Men.
That's right.
Who have gained a certain level of status, but we need others that are gonna, with like minds, who are gonna help us get to, where we need to get to. And next thing you know, we'll look around and we'll be able to say, wow, like Timothy Dingle left us with the great book of the resurrection.
That's correct.
Which he didn't want our minds to be confused about certain things.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying?
That's right.
And he didn't want us to get involved in conflicts.
That's right.
Whatever happened in 1928,
right.
whatever happened during those times,
right.
And like we said in a previous show, it's even an example of what to be or what not to be.
That's right.
So praise Allah, man, and we ask that everybody keep tuning in.
Yeah, we thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening and viewing.
That's right.
Man, the views that we've been getting has been
really
wonderful. We appreciate it. It's summer, and we have children,
That's
so
right.
we kind of been like
on
the move, off and on, but we are consistent.
Correct.
And hopefully we'll be able to be more consistent, because that's what it's going to take to get our people out of the condition that we're in. And prayer,
definitely.
Absolutely. The Supreme Grand Sheikh Clarence Prather the Ill established, he reestablished,
right?
Because Brother Prophet John Givens Ill,
right?
He established the prayer three times a day, and Supreme Grand Sheikh Clarence Prather Ill reintroduced 9, 12, and 3.
That's right.
And whatever other times that you you pray. But please, wherever you are, Moorish Americans, whatever you're doing, stop during the hours of 9, 12, and 3, so that we can, you know, get ourselves out of the mess or ask Allah to get us out of the mess that not only necessarily the Moorish Americans are in, but our people in general, you know. Yeah. So, you know, man, like I said, we can't thank you enough for tuning in and helping us do, you know, what it is that we do.
That's right. And,
you know, hopefully you're learning, and we're transmitting some things to you on a positive note, you know, because all the negativity, we just really don't have time. We don't have time for it. We don't. Yeah.
So on that note, we're going to leave on the Moorish American prayer, and we thank you all for tuning in. And if you want to, you know, say the prayer with us, you can. But we are going to leave off on the Moorish American prayer.
Islam.
Allah,
the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through His holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen.
Islam.
Peace.